In partnership with Wing VC, we are at Nasdaq's market site celebrating the Enterprise Tech 30 list. My name is Christina Ayanian, and joining me today is founder of Modal Labs, Erik Bernhardsson. Erik, thank you for joining us.
Hi, it's great to be here.
Let's get started and talk a little bit more about what Modal Labs does. Can you talk about your founding story?
Yeah, so I worked my whole career with data, various shapes or forms. In particular, I spent 7 years at Spotify. I built a music recommendation system there. Open sourced a few projects related to data. I also did all kinds of other, I basically was the data team at some point. I started when the company was only 40. I spent 7 years there, and then I was the CTO at a company called Better for 6 years, managed a couple of other teams, but also managed the data teams. I started thinking about starting something with data around the end of 2020. I realized there's a massive market. There's just so many needs. Like there's new emergence of like new people going into this field and like wanting to have better tools to deploy, productionize machine learning, AI, all kinds of other types of data engineering, web scraping, simulations, all kinds of other stuff. But the tools are pretty bad, and so I started looking into that, and I realized there's a massive opportunity to build a platform for a lot of these types of issues, a lot of these opportunities in data. So started doing that in early 2021. Still a relatively small company. We're still only 8 people, but we've come a pretty long way. Have a few hundred customers, paying customers, and really starting to see a lot of traction in the AI segment. So a lot of, as you may have seen in the last 6-9 months, has been a lot of search and new kind of cool applications and cool tools. So that's something we're now betting very hard on, very focused on that world.
Absolutely. You're really developing cutting edge technologies and meshing with the current technology that's out there. How is AI really transforming Modal Labs from where you started to where you are now?
I think in a way maybe less than other companies because we're building somewhat neutral infrastructure for a wide range of applications, but in the sense that we see a lot of applications, it's been really kind of mind-blowing how much we've seen, specifically with AI, driving the use cases and the applications and the customers that we're now focusing on. In particular, we've been focusing a lot on language models lately. There's a lot of interest in many companies that want to deploy their own language models and train their own language models. We also see some of the really cool image models, Stable Diffusion, et cetera. Maybe you've seen some of the cool applications where you have now computer models that can generate very photorealistic images. Mm-hmm. We do a lot of work in text-to-speech, speech-to-text, like those sort of applications. So those are some of the things we're looking at, a lot of those types of use cases. But there's a very wide range of applicability with this new AI technology.
What are some other use cases of how companies are using Modal Labs and how you partner with these companies?
Yeah, it's all over the place. I would say some of the more like kind of interesting, kind of cool use cases we've seen is there's a company that uses us to generate 3D assets, so they can generate 3D models based on just the descriptions. You can put in, I want a blue teapot, and it will generate a 3D model that you can import into your 3D assets. We see some other companies, another startup that uses us for generating AI remixes. So you can pick an artist, you can pick a type of music, and it automatically generates a track with that artist. It's pretty crazy actually what this technology could do. We see some other cool applications would be, for instance, customer support, like understanding the user intent through language models. There's so much stuff. It's pretty exciting, actually.
It's a broad range, and you service a lot of industries, and you have a great team that's supporting you through that.
Yeah, I've had the fortune of building up an extremely strong team. I have a competitive programming background, so I focused a little bit on that, and we've hired a couple of people with gold medals from international competitions. That's also my background, although it was a long time ago. So very fortunate to work with the team I have right now.
That's incredible. And you started in 2021. You're one of the youngest companies on the Enterprise Tech 30 list. What does that mean to you?
It means that we have a long way to go. I think this is my 20-year project. So, I feel like my whole career has sort of, been training for like what now I think is like, my big goal of turning this into a real company. Hopefully coming back here one day and ringing the, or,
Absolutely,
listing
we're
it on
looking
Nasdaq.
forward to it.
So it's early days, but I've been through this in the past with Spotify. I was there very early and saw that through to the IPO, and it's exciting at this early stage. Like you're really building some foundational technology, and really thinking about like the core sort of company, and then it just gets bigger and bigger, and over time.
Absolutely, you're definitely on your way there. What do you think investors are most excited about Modal Labs?
I think we're really well positioned in the AI space. Investor interest started really picking up this summer, and we've been definitely seeing a lot of inbound because of that. A lot of investors reaching out to us, very excited to talk to us because there's just so much interest in this space. And it's interesting. I mean, like a lot of the sort of eventual use cases is still not quite known. I think people are still trying to figure out exactly what this means. There's a clear understanding that this will change a lot of stuff, but I don't think we quite yet know what. So I think people are looking more at like what are the tools that have a potential to be the new platforms, and what are the things that are winning the hearts and minds of developers? Like what tools do developers choose when they're building these next generation AI applications? That's what investors look for.
There's definitely a lot of evolution happening in the space, and it sounds like you're really committed to staying ahead of that curve.
Totally, yeah, and I think the best way to do that is to invest in very foundational technology. So that's where we've been spending a lot of our time in the last 2-3 years since we started this. Is really low level, like dealing with very low level, like technology infrastructure. But I think there's a sense now that we've laid a lot of that platform that will then enable us to move up the stack and focus more on applications on top of it. It's super exciting to see how that plays out over the next years.
Your story is also so inspiring, building it from ground up. What advice do you have for other founders in the startup space looking to make that jump?
I think that the best way to do it is to start early and to release something to customers super early. Build something. For me, it was easy. Like I built something that I always wanted to have throughout my whole career in that sense. So like I always have a conviction that like what I built made sense, and I think that's a good starting point for any founder, is like building something that I have a high conviction of it actually being useful. But beyond that, we try to put it in front of users very early. Try to get feedback, try to like iterate and try to really listen to your early customers. We're still in private beta. We haven't launched to general public. We're hoping to do that at the end of the summer. But I think we've had a set of fantastic beta testers that have really given us tremendous feedback that helped us iterate and build this out sort of incrementally. And I think you have to do that. I think in order to build a product that developers really love, developers are kind of finicky. That there's a lot of stuff they don't like. There's a lot of stuff they like, but to really build something that resonates with their needs and their workflows, you have to put it in front of them and listen to what they tell you.
Right, firsthand, get their experience and get their feedback.
Exactly. Yeah. There's nothing that you can't build a product in vacuum. Like there's nothing that substitutes for real users telling you, and real users paying too, I should say. That to me is like always like the real sign that you're onto something.
Yeah, it's the real R&D.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing your story. We look forward to continue following and welcoming you back to Nasdaq.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.